Hey Greg, let's talk bourbon. So this is a follow-up video to my previous couple of videos this week. Started out on Monday releasing a video about Redwood Empire. Their two special releases. One was a bourbon, one was a rye. The bourbon here is Grizzly Giant. And it's a 5 grain, which obviously means that it has some wheat in it. So then I followed it up with a video on Tuesday with talking about comparing that to this bottle here, the Ben Holiday soft red wheat. But I was remarking then that I didn't think I had enough, wheated bourbons to do a blind. So right after I got done with that video, I remembered I had this bottle downstairs. This is a 4 grain, obviously includes wheat. In fact, it has 22.5% wheat, by Old Elk. And then it was pointed out to me that the Larceny that I have here also has wheat in it, which I didn't even realize. Love the bottle. And then I was out of Maker's Mark. So I decided, well, I'm going to run out and quick buy a replacement bottle. So I got the Cask Strength version of Maker's Mark to throw into the mix here. So just a little bit about it. So for comparison's sake, these are all bourbons. But, this Maker's Mark here, we got a bit of a difference in price. First off, I kind of ranked them in order of price and how easy they are to get, basically. And that's for this blind taste test that we're doing here. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the lowest end here, this is the cheapest bottle. This is $42 with taxes. It is 16% wheat. And it happens to be at 109% proof. So Larceny here, $60, and it has 20% wheat, and it's 124 proof. So Ben Holiday, that is 15% wheat and 120 proof. Oh, and I forgot the price. This is about $75. The Old Elk 4 grain, that's about $80. A little bit harder to find. That is 22.5% wheat. So it's the highest wheat content of all of them up here. And like I said, it's a 4 grain. These here are all 3 grain. So this is a 4 grain. And it is 106%, or proof, sorry. 106 proof. And finally, we've got the Grizzly Giant from Redwood Empire, which is bottle and bond, so it's 100 proof, and it's got only 5% wheat, and it's a 5 grain. So I would expect these being 4 grain, 5 grain, to have a little bit more complexity in their tasting. My predictions for this blind. So I've already got my glasses already all mixed up here, and we'll put them in that order here. So, my prediction, I know that this bottle here blinds really well. I expect that this is going to finish probably in the top 2, maybe top 3. Maker's Mark, I blinded that one several times in the past as well. It does pretty well. I don't think it's going to finish in the cellar. It's the cheapest bottle here. You would think maybe it would finish last, but I think it's going to knock off 1 or 2 of these bottles, but I don't think it's going to be in contention for first. Ben Holiday, based on my tasting the other day, I think this is going to struggle to stay out of the bottom, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it's as proofy today as it was a couple days ago. I have never blinded this bottle. And I've never blinded either of these 2 bottles either. This one I just opened. So we're going to be blinding here the neck pour of the Old Elk. So hopefully that won't hurt it too much. I really don't know what to expect. I did try this bottle at Ira's. That's why I decided to buy it. It was tasting really good to me there. I liked it a lot better than the 10-year, the 8-year of Old Elk. And I know that several YouTubers like to point out a 4 grain when they see it. So it all kind of added up to me to buy this bottle. And then this one, I already know I like it. Getting rather familiar with it after this will be my third time tasting it this week. So I think that perhaps this one I expect to be in the top 2 as well. So if I had to guess, just guessing, I would say probably 5, 4, 3, and these 2 battling for 1. That's just gonna be my guess, but we'll see. All right, on to the tasting. We'll call this glass A. I'll go A to E. This one's lighter. Got kind of a apple smell to it. Green apple with some cinnamon. Maybe some cloves. That's generally what I get out of it. Maybe there's a touch of a sweet note in there somewhere. I'm not sure if I would label it yet as being either caramel or vanilla. I'm kind of leaning towards the vanilla. All right, glass B. This one's much more rich. Deeper tones. Red fruit. Cinnamon, allspice. Caramel. It's pretty lovely. Glass C. Oh, wow. Stronger on the nose than the first 2. Wow. How do I describe all this? Multiple notes, right? It's got the green apple. Very sharp on it. It's got maybe a touch of honey or confectionery sugar on top of it. This is really good. Lower, it's got a little bit of a nuttiness to it, like a hazelnut. Maybe it's also got a little bit of maltiness to it. Letter D. This is a lot fainter than the last one. That letter C had quite a nose. Yeah, this one's fairly faint. I hate to say it, but this one's a disappointment after C. I'm going to have to mix the order as I go along here. This one's got, a little bit of allspice, a little bit of cinnamon. A little bit of red berry to it. That's what I get out of that one. Letter E. Oh, this one's really good. Back to a strong nose here in letter E. Floral. Red fruit. Like more in the real fruity, like raspberry, strawberry, somewhere in that range. Caramel. Where's that vanilla? Not sure. I'll have to decide on that. And then a little bit of allspice in the background. Wow. Well, the nose, first impressions, I really like C and E on the nose. The first 2 were also decent, and D was kind of a letdown, but maybe that was because it was after C. Let's dive into these. Yeah. Doesn't have as much of a nose as those other 2. Yeah, that green, that like appley flavor comes through. Lots of cinnamon, lots of nutmeg, lots of allspice, lots of. It's got a definite, allspice finish to it. There's some maltiness to this one as well. Not that, these three here all have, 12%, 12%, 14% malted barley. So these are all high in malted barley. It's tasty. It's good. I could get a graham cracker out of this with that. The caramely allspice with a little bit of dryness to it. It kind of runs together to kind of create that. It's good. It's good. It's a touch proofy, but yeah. I did do a warm up, but let's see. These are all fairly high proof, all between 100 and 124. Letter B. Now it's a little thin. Letter B is a little thin. It's also maybe a touch proofy. I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point. Gotta get through the lineup first. Not as great. Not as I mean, it's good. It's flavorful, but it's a little muted compared to some of them. Has a little bit of dry oak to it. Has the allspice. Has the, if I recall, on the nose, this had the little bit darker notes to it. I don't know if that berry or that red fruit, that kind of, I was thinking more in terms of a heavier, almost into a melon kind of a red fruit. I don't know if that really carries that well from the nose to the palate. The caramel's there, but it's light. Cinnamon's there. The allspice is there. A little bit of dry oak. Seemed a little thin. Yeah, this is the one with the big nose. One of the two with a big nose. Kind of like me. Oh, yeah. It's got a lot more flavor on the palate than the first two glasses. Wow. And it's not as proofy either. Yeah. Green fruit really comes through. We'll call it an apple. Vanilla. There's a lot of, it's a long, one thing I like about this is that it's got a long front of the palate, right? You get that sweet, fruity flavor and it stays for a while before it starts to turn to the back of the palate. You know, it's noticeably different compared to the first two where the front of the palate was fairly short and quickly moved on to the allspice and so forth at the back of the palate. Yeah. And I wouldn't say, well, you know what? This has that softness. I wonder if I know which glass this is. This is really good. It's not a strong, like usually on the back of the palate, you usually get something kind of strong, whether it's allspice or it's five spice or, you start getting, some kind of real oakiness to it. This doesn't have a lot of that at all. This really stays a lot with the front of the palate. And maybe when you get a sense of that allspice, it then dissipates and comes back to the front of the palate. Again, I said that about a glass earlier this week. So I think I know which glass this is. All right, glass D. All right. Maybe I'm getting a little more nose out of it than I did the first time. This is darker. This is cinnamony, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of allspice, maybe a hazelnut in there. It's pretty good on the palate. Although the finish kind of hits you a little bit. Yeah, this has got, boy, it turns quick. So the front of the palate, or mid palate, is the caramels and cinnamon, nutmeg. I don't know, maybe there's a nuttiness in there. Unfortunately, like before you can really start picking it apart, the back of the palate hits. And it's a pretty good spice note. I would say this more resembles a 5-spice than a allspice to me. This isn't as much like a cooking spice as it is a baking spice. It's not a baking spice, which is what I think of as allspice, right? It's more of something a little bit harsher, something that you might cook something savory with. Yeah. It's not bad though. I mean, if you're looking for a darker bourbon, something with those darker flavors, it's pretty good. It doesn't have any stringency. It's not proofy. It's not, it's none of those things. It's just a darker side of the palate. That's all. Sometimes I like that, but I don't think it'll stand up to C. All right, letter E. Whew. Wow, that's quite a nose. Powerful nose. Okay, so it started out with that, I want to say apple again, green apple. Lighter notes, not sure if that was caramel or vanilla. And it took a little bit to turn. But once it turned and went to the back palate, so it did have a fairly lengthy front of the palate. But once it turned to the back of the palate, yeah, back of the palate really hits you hard with, it's more of an allspice, but maybe headed the direction towards the 5-spice, maybe, getting a little bitey. And there's also a rather oaky sense to it. Not astringent, and it's not proofy. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's also maltiness, a lot of maltiness in this. And there's some nutmeg, some hazelnut. This is good. But it when it turns to go to the back palate, it really takes you there. All right. So this time I'm going to concentrate on a few glasses and try to weed one out. Mm. Mm. I think this is my last one. I mean, it's not bad at all. But all right. All right, I guess I decide that I've got a little bit of a problem with B and with D. My problem with B is that it is rather light. I believe this is the one I called thin earlier. My problem with D is that it's got a harsh, that finish is a little harsh to it, and it's not nearly as strong as these two, but yet it's got that kind of a hard finish to it at times. All right, I'm gonna go D last. I'm gonna go B second to last. God, that's heavenly. Oh God. So is that one. I mean, this one's good, sort of, but it's good when I mix it, when I compare it to these two. This one's pretty good, but oh my God, these are killers. So this has got to be third place because it's just, there's nothing wrong with this pour. Nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't blow you away like these two. That goes out in third place. All right, we got C and we got E. These are bangers. So let me see if I can. A lot of maltiness on that one. There's quite a bit of maltiness in both. Can't. This one's a little bit more into the. I'm almost picking up like a cantaloupe in this one. There's this one, I just keep riding with the cinnamon and nutmeg. Maybe the hazelnut, right? So like a spicy Nutella. There's also a high note here, maybe a vanilla. Oh, this one's got that green apple with maybe some caramel on it. So, I don't know, right? It's just sweet all day long. Letter C. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had one that was this sweet. It just doesn't have that real big back of the palate, right? And when it comes in a little bit, it's there, it lets you know it's there, then it fades away, and it brings you back to the front of the palate. This is really malty. That one's got some maltiness to it, but this one's really malty. Yeah, I know the answer. This is going to have to go out in second place, and this is first place. So these are both, not very proofy at all. They're lovely. They got strong noses. They've got strong palates. The difference, the reason why I'm choosing C over E, is that E, I can't pick a difference on the nose, right? The nose is, I would say, is a tie. The difference is the end of the palate. They both also have a lovely front palate. If you drink enough of E, it starts to get that oakiness, allspice, maybe headed towards the 5-size, maybe starting to get a little bitey. That starts to build, and it's starts to become, like I want to take a drink after about 3 sips of this, I need a drink of water to kind of wash a little of that away. That just doesn't happen with this one. This one, I think you could drink the whole damn bottle and never feel a need to rinse your mouth out along the way. It's just light, sweet, with a little bit of cinnamon and allspice and stuff like that in the background. It's got some different fruits, and it's got a lot going on. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't ever have that strong finish. Instead, it gives you a taste of the finish, and then it brings it back to the front of the palate. And I like that. So there we go. That is my blind for wheated bourbons. Now let's see if my predictions earlier in this video came anywhere close to reality. All right, so this is letter D, and that is number 3. So, I'm going to put it here in last place. Boy, I know, I got to get a better camera. All right. Letter B. Maker's Mark. Told you Maker's Mark probably wouldn't finish in the top, but would knock off somebody. And it did. So Maker's Mark, $42 bottle, knocked off Ben Holiday, which was a $75 bottle. All right. A. 5. Holy smokes. I don't even know how that's possible. So, that's not the glass I thought it was. I thought this was C. It's got all the same characteristics. I'm amazed. I liked it. I said that there was nothing wrong with this glass. It was good. It just wasn't as strong as the other two. And so that's what this showed, that this was I couldn't find anything wrong with this glass. But it didn't shine compared to the other two. So by the other two, we're down to Larceny, and we're down to Old Elk. So in second place, Larceny. And that means that a bottle that I have hardly tried at all, and I just opened it up, and this is the neck pour of this bottle. And I thought it dominated. It dominated everything else, and, well, it was a little close there with Larceny. But it has a better finish. And that is number 4, Old Elk. I almost got my glasses confused. Oh my God. My heart was racing. I needed to keep my glasses separated. So there we go. So somehow, some way, I came into this. I was right on some of my predictions. I thought that this would do poorly, and it did. I thought this would knock off somebody that's more expensive, and it did. I thought, because I didn't know this bottle very much, that it would finish in the middle. I was wrong. I thought these two would compete for number 2, in the top 2. And I was partially right? So it was this one and this one that ended up competing for the top. And this one went out in third. So that's why I love doing blinds. You don't know until you know, right? Now you got to try it. You can taste things independently all you want. And that's another point, I suppose, that when you try things independently, you can have a lovely time with a bottle that doesn't blind well, right? Sometimes it just is that way, right? That a bottle, it just tastes great, you're into it, but then later you put it in a blind and it sucks. That happens. But I am really surprised. This shocks me. This really shocks me. I really thought that this was going to be in there, but it doesn't actually quite surprise me in the sense that this is only 100 proof. This is the lowest proof bottle here, and I never thought it was that strong of a nose or anything. And I compared it to this one the other day, 2 days ago, and this one also did not have a strong nose. So the ones that now I've known that Larceny, I kind of figured Larceny was going to be there because I've noticed in the past that Larceny has a strong nose, that Larceny has a strong palate, and it always tends to do well. Seldom finishes first, but it's always up there. And it's just that finish to the Larceny that kind of keeps it from taking the podium, So anyways, there it is. That is my wheated bourbon blind. Hope you liked it. Peace out.